Bob Barker saying good night, everybody.
This past Saturday, we lost a television legend and our friend, Bob Barker. Bob was an amazing man who set the gold standard not only for his performance on camera, but for his off-camera love and support of all animals, big and small. Most people remember Bob from the 35 years he spent hosting The Price is Right. So it's easy to forget that for 18 years, he was a fixture in America's living rooms for Truth or Consequences. Radio host before that, and a naval aviator during World War II. We'll also remember Bob for his tireless work on behalf of all animals, from whales and elephants to the cats and dogs he reminded everybody at the end of the show to get spayed or neutered. You know, I mentioned the word legend earlier, and while that word gets thrown around all too much these days, it couldn't be more appropriate when you think about Bob's time on The Price is Right. Bob's skills were second nature to him. He was the master of the game, but he always knew who the real stars of his show were, the contestants. Today, we celebrate Bob's legacy with a look back at some of the incredible moments of his time here on The Price is Right. This is for you, Bob.
Well, Rod, who will it be? Here is the first item up for bids today. Actual retail price.
He is best known, of course, for hosting The Price is Right for 35 years.
Come on down. You're the next contestant on The Price is Right.
But there's another role Bob Barker cherishes just as much.
Jessie is shelter dog, of course.
Bob Barker is such a great name for an animal rights spokesman.
It is more than his devotion to Jessie, the abandoned part chow his brother persuaded him to adopt after his old dog had died.
And I said, all right, bring her over. And I've never regretted it.
Bob Barker, now 85, has donated millions for animal protection, including sponsoring programs to spay and neuter animals.
One of the most tragic problems, so far as animals are concerned, in our country, in the world, as a matter of fact, is overpopulation.
How did you get so interested in helping to protect animals?
Well, I've always loved animals, and I always had animals.
He grew up on an Indian reservation in South Dakota, where his mom taught school after Barker's dad died. He married Dorothy Jo Gideon, his high school sweetheart, and after a stint as a Navy pilot, Barker decided to try broadcasting, eventually hosting a show before a live audience.
And my wife was at home, and she heard that first audience participation show. And when I came home, she said, Barker, that's what you should do. She said, you did that better than you've ever done anything else.
In the 1950s, the Barkers moved to LA, where he hosted another radio program. One day, TV game show impresario Ralph Edwards was listening.
And he liked the way I worked. And he called me, and I went in for an interview with him.
That landed him a job hosting Truth or Consequences.
Remember this name. You're going to be hearing a lot about him. Here he is, ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Bob Barker. Here's Bob.
And in 1972, it was on to The Price is Right.
Bob Barker!
I would start every show looking for someone with whom I could create laughter and have fun.
One of his favorite moments occurred when a young woman wearing a tube top heard her name called to come on down.
And she jumped to her feet, began jumping up and down, and both of them came out of the tube top. She came on down and they came on out. And I didn't even see it. I was still behind the doors. And when I came out, the audience was screaming. And I thought, they love me, they love me. And then I came to terms with the fact that no audience had ever loved me this much.
The lovely Nikki is holding Orson.
As Barker's fame grew, so did his commitment to animals, a passion he shared with his late wife, who died in 1981.
And Orson is looking for a home.
And Barker started ending each show with a plea.
Bob Barker reminding you, help control the pet population. Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
It's a practice continued by Barker's successor, Drew Carey.
Folks, thanks for watching. Don't forget to get your pets spayed or neutered. It's the right thing to do. See you next time. Bye-bye.
But Bob Barker ran headfirst into controversy and angered the fur industry when he quit hosting the Miss Universe pageant in 1987 because the sponsors refused to stop giving away fur coats as prizes.
Did you think, oh my gosh, I might be throwing my career to the wind here?
No, my accountant had feelings about it, but I didn't.
In fact, his career flourished. He's got 19 Emmys to prove it.
Did you still get a kick out of it? I mean, by the time you won number 19?
Oh, of course. 19 was just as pleasant as number 1.
But he seems just as proud of the awards he's won for protecting animals.
I received this as a tribute for my work in exposing cruelty to animals, cruelty to chimpanzees. There, those bunnies.
After all, this is a man who has devoted an entire room of his house to his 2 rabbits.
They're very lucky bunnies, huh?
They are lucky bunnies, is right.
So it's no wonder that since Bob Barker decided to retire from The Price is Right last year,
Thank you.
he has never looked back.
I'm busy anyway with animal projects and various other things, and so I'm not sitting around worrying about what am I going to think about in the next hour, you know. I'm having fun doing a lot of things, and I'm a success at retirement. All right. I've enjoyed the whole thing. I really have.
And now here's the star of The Price is Right, Bob Barker!
I have been blessed in that I have had 50 years doing something that I have thoroughly enjoyed, and I've been paid for it. How good can you have it?
99-year-old TV icon Bob Barker passed away Saturday morning from natural causes at his longtime home in the Hollywood Hills. That's where this last photo of him was taken, sitting in a wheelchair in February of 2021, enjoying the sunshine on the front lawn.
Where am I going to be? I hope I'm up there looking down on the whole thing. I'd hate to think I'm looking up.
At Bob's request, there will be no funeral or memorial service. E.T. last spoke to him in 2017.
I think that show would be hard to beat, the rapport that we had. It was just a joy.
It was 10 years after he retired from The Price is Right, which he hosted for almost 35 years.
I'm often asked, what do I miss the most about it? And I tell them the money. That's what I miss the most.
He had a great sense of humor.
Today, we're learning more about Bob's final days. E.T. spoke exclusively with Janice Pennington, one of the original Barker's Beauties models on the game show, and Roger Neal, his longtime publicist. He says Bob's girlfriend of 40 years, Nancy Burnett, was always at his side.
I can't stress enough the great care that Nancy took care of him. I mean, it was around the clock. And for the fact that he got to stay in his home and live in his home, the same house since the 1950s, and to be able to be at home when he passed, it was very fortunate.
How did he live out those final years?
I think very happy. He loved his home, he loved his animals, and I really think he liked his quiet life.
And the nurses all doted on him. You know, they were they just loved Mr. Barker. And I said to the nurses before I left, I said, you know, you're taking care of the world's greatest MC, and he is a legend. And he said, I'll agree to that, and started laughing. So it was great.
It was that trademark sense of humor that helped Bob face a number of health problems in his later years, including both prostate and neck surgery.
I had a carotid artery that had become blocked, and I had some surgery from which I've recovered very well, thank you. And I am back at work, and we're grinding out one hit after another.
In 2015, he suffered a frightening fall on the sidewalk outside his home.
So I twisted and landed right over here, but my head was up on the cement, and so I cut my head all up and cut my knee and scraped it.
Saw him a few weeks ago briefly. He looked terrific as you could look to be 99 and almost 100.
I'm constantly looking for a contestant with whom I can get laughs.
I had a dream about you, so I had to come down here.
What were we doing in the dream?
You were chasing me in the hayloft.
Bob got his big showbiz break hosting Truth or Consequences back in 1956.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. And I became the host of a national television show just overnight.
16 years later, in 1972, Bob landed the job that made him a TV icon and got him 19 Emmys, the most of any game show host.
Who's this little dude?
That little guy is Bob Barker.
Janice treasures her countless memories with the legend.
Oh my gosh. Oh, you're gonna make me cry. I don't know. There was just so many, you know. He was just, yeah, one of a kind, so.
And if you could say one more thing to Bob.
You're the best. Nobody will ever come close to you.
What was it like working with Bob?
It was like a party every day. The audience was very excited, you know. You look forward to going to work every day.
What is his legacy?
Oh my gosh. He was just so loved. He loved it. They loved it. They always jumped on him. He loved those moments with contestants because you never knew what they were going to say.
Drew Carey, come on down.
In 2007, Bob handed over the skinny mic to Drew Carey.
I thought this was just a good time to quit.
Drew, one of many celebs paying tribute, posted, "Very sad. There hasn't been a day on set that I didn't think of Bob Barker and thank him. I will carry his memory in my heart forever." Bob told us the advice he gave his successor.
Don't imitate me. Don't imitate any other host. Do it his way.
Fellow TV host Tom Bergeron shared these pics, captioned, "On weekends, when we'd shoot Hollywood Squares on the same stage The Price is Right shot on weekdays, I used his dressing room."
Vanna White, come on down!
And yeah, that's Wheel of Fortune's Vanna White as a young contestant back in 1980. She wrote, "Thank you, Bob, for introducing me to the game show world. We will miss you."
How do you keep in such marvelous shape?
Well, I'm a vegetarian, and I try to get my rest, and I drink.
That sounds like a nice start for my life. I'm going to change it all over to that.
One of Bob's most iconic gigs, off The Price is Right set, Happy Gilmore with Adam Sandler in 1996. His first ever movie role, and that fight, just comedy gold.
I don't want a piece of you. I want the whole thing.
E.T. was on set where at 72 years young, he did his own stunt work.
Let's go.
Well, I suggested that, and they're letting me do it myself. I'm pleased. Here's a young man who watched me as he was growing up, and look at him, he's a star. He's a success.
See, that's what
it could happen to you if you watch me on television.
Price is wrong.
Now you've had enough.
Referencing that quip, Julie Bowen honored her co-star, revealing it was Adam who convinced him to do it. Quote, "Bob was kind and polite and had declined to say the line, but he got swept up in the hilarious fight scene and he just said it." And from Adam, quote, "Loved laughing with him, loved him kicking the crap out of me. He will be missed by everyone I know. Heartbreaking."
At my age, rolling around with this 26, 28-year-old guy, I thought I would die. I was all right.
Now I think, where do we go to see Bob Barker?
Reruns of Happy Gilmore.
Yet the cameos kept coming.
E.T., come on down.
to The Price is Right.
Nice suit.
Thanks, Dad. Here is.
In 2007, E.T. was back on set as Bob played himself in How I Met Your Mother.
I'm sure you'll do just fine, son.
Did you just.
I had no idea how much fun it would be. And I think I'm going to adopt Neil.
Who gets the chance to be on The Price is Right?
Bob also crashed in Everybody Loves Raymond table read and delivered his signature Price is Right sign-off with a twist.
Please have this staff spayed or neutered.
But perhaps his favorite role was that of devoted husband to his wife of 36 years, Dorothy.
We had our first date November 17th, 1939, in Springfield, Missouri.
Bob was just 15 years old, but it was an instant love. They remained together until 1981 when she passed away from lung cancer at the age of 57.
He would go every year at Christmas time and put a Snoopy Christmas tree on Dorothy Jo's grave.
It is there, next to Dorothy's grave, that Bob will be quietly laid to rest. And while he vowed to never remarry, Bob did find love again in 1983.
I've spent a lot of time with Nancy Burnett.
Any wedding bells?
No, not at my age.
And I know he loved her. She cared deeply for him. The last 5 years of his life, she was just completely devoted to making sure that his health care, that his care on a daily, around-the-clock basis was the top, and it was.
Nancy paid tribute to her love, telling E.T., quote, "I am so proud of the trailblazing work Barker and I did together. We were great friends. He will be missed."
If I had to tell you who was maybe one of the most positive influences on his life, it would be his wife, Dorothy Jo, and Nancy.
Bob and Nancy actually met at an animal adoption event. Throughout their 40 years as boyfriend and girlfriend, they advocated for animals, organizing protests, and he donated $25 million to establish an animal charity, which Nancy ran.
Well, I've always loved animals. I felt compelled to try to do what I could to change the situation.
This is Bob Barker reminding you to help control the pet population.
Have your pets spayed or neutered. Goodbye, everybody.
Of course, we all know Bob's famous sign-off, but did you know he stopped dyeing his hair because the products were tested on animals?
Lady in the back row says she loves my hair. Do you like it? Do you like it?
Release those elephants and let them go into a sanctuary.
We have to make people aware. They don't realize how much suffering is going on in the animal world.
Any animal that came in Bob Barker's path was a lucky animal. He used to send a limousine to put an animal in there to go to the vet hospital. He'd send them in a limo.
Now look up there and smile. There you are.
We need more voices like mine, and we need more voices, period. I think that the fact that I have the opportunity to be with you on Entertainment Tonight is important.
Bob also took on movie studios, demanding the ethical treatment of animals on set.
When you go to the movie theaters and you see on the screen no animals were harmed in the making of this film, that's because of Bob Barker's work and Nancy Burnett's work.
I would like to have them remember me as a man who loved all living things and did all he could during his life to make ours a better world for animals, and at the same time did a lot of television shows.
See you tomorrow.
We love you. We'll see you here on the Family Feud. Joe, until next time, this is Peter Tomarkin on behalf of the Focati Rug saying thanks for pressing your luck. Bye-bye.
Anyway, we have just 10 seconds to say goodbye. We'll see you tomorrow. So long.
Bye-bye. Yeah.
We got 5 seconds.
Oh, no, we have 3,
2, 1.
Bye.